Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bravo Tea with a Stay-at-Home Mom. I'm Erica, and I'm ready to talk all things Bravo. Welcome back, everybody. And on this episode, we're going to be recapping The Real Housewives of Orange County. I feel like this was a good episode, so I actually watched it Friday morning opposed to Thursday night. Excuse me, because my husband and I were so into The Perfect Couple on Netflix. So if you need like a little, I think it was 6 or 7 episodes, like a short little series. It was with Nicole Kidman and then the guy that plays Ray Donovan. I don't remember his name in real life. It's like something Schreiber. I don't know. But it's really good. It's like murder mystery thriller, based in Nantucket, so like super wealthy, and it's really good. So we had 2 episodes left, and we watched it last night. And when we were getting ready to go up to bed, I went, "Oh my god, Orange County was on. We forgot about it." So I flipped it on, and it was just the tail end where we got the drama between Tamra, Eddie, and Jean Jacket Ryan. So I at least watched the fight last night, but then this morning I sat down, watched the whole thing. So let's just dive right in. So we get Emily, Gina, and Tamra meeting for coffee to talk about the fiasco at the fiesta. So obviously, my opinion, I feel that Alexis made it worse. I think if Emily would have just been there with Heather and told her she felt so insecure about the dress and all that stuff, it would have went a different way. Even though I do feel like Heather was not reciprocating it well, I think Alexis added fuel to the fire, and it did not make it go over so well. And it just made me mad because it's like, why is everything about you? Are you the Sheena of the Real Housewives of Orange County? Because we're literally not talking about you. She just said she wore the same dress as you, but that doesn't mean anything bad towards you. Like I said before, if anything, it's a compliment, meaning you're so in shape and thin and wears such a tiny size dress that Emily felt like insecure that she was wearing the same thing as you and isn't as small as you. And the size was like I think Alexis had a size 2. She had a size 12. I don't know about that still. That's up for debate. But then we get Heather and Terry going to the doctor because she said that Terry is snoring so bad and she can only nudge him so much at night. And I'm like, me too, girl. Like, maybe my husband should go to the doctor too for the snoring because when it's really loud, they say that can be sleep apnea and it's bad. I also feel like I'm such a light sleeper since we've had kids that like a pin could drop and I would wake up now at this point in life. And I can't wear earplugs to bed because I need to make sure I can listen out for my children. But I do wear an eye mask to sleep because I need like pitch black, like vampire status. And I just feel like we don't have the blackout curtains or anything. We just have blinds. So I'm like, that's not cutting it for me. I need pitch black and death silence. Honestly, need to sleep like a vampire in here. But she thinks that maybe he needs to do something about the snoring. So Terry is thinking he needs a nose job, which is so funny because not to be mean and judgy of the body, but whenever we watch the show, my husband's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe he's a plastic surgeon and his nose looks like that." It's just, he doesn't have a nice nose. And I'm like, maybe he doesn't care. He's too busy fixing everyone else. He doesn't want to fix himself. But now he thinks the snoring will be solved if he gets a nose job. But the funny catty part is he's not going to go to Paul Nassif, who he does botched with and he's friends with. He's like, "Yeah, I'm not going to go to Paul." He's like, "Sorry, Paul, but it's my nose." And I'm like, shady. Does that mean Paul doesn't do good nose jobs according to Terry Dubrow? So I was like, whoa. But they're just sitting like waiting for the doctor. And then all of a sudden it was like so quick and random. The cameras were in the hallway and they were still in the doctor's office. So you don't even see Heather and Terry, but you have the subtitles and hear them talking. And she thinks that Terry was dismissing her on camera. And they're like whispering about it. And she's like, "Don't do that to me on camera." And I'm like, wait, what? And then there was like a poll later on Watch What Happens Live. And it's like, did you think Terry was being dismissive of Heather? And I was like, no. Because it's like, yeah, I was like, what's even going on? I don't think he's being dismissive. And I think Terry's very kind. He's a nice house husband. Like I don't think he's ever mean to Heather. And I don't think he'd be dismissing her. Like maybe he was just nervous to be in the doctor's office, even though he's ironically a doctor. That's what I said too. Isn't it weird for doctors to go to the doctor? It has to be a little strange. I mean, he was seeing like a cardiologist and stuff and going to do some EKG tests, but I just think it's so weird, like a doctor going to the doctor. But he's been fine since he had that little hole in his heart and had that mini stroke. So they've gotten that taken care of, but now they need to solve this snoring problem. But obviously he's in the right hands, and at the end of the day, he is a doctor. Even though he's a plastic surgeon, he still knows when something is wrong, which has to be creepy and scary too. Like, as a doctor, you know something's wrong with your body, but you need to figure out what you need to fix. Then we get Jen and Ryan going shopping, and he needs a stylist. He needs a little help, but Jen said his style is all on his own. And I mean, thank God it's all on his own. And she's not picking his clothes out, because he wears some wild, exotic clothes. And it was so funny when they go in the store. He's like, "Oh, I love that shirt." And it was those Robert Graham shirts. So they're the button up, like, dress shirts that are for men, and they can have crazy loud, like, patterns, and that's what was in that store, and that's definitely what makes up his wardrobe. But you know what?
Oh, yeah, even Louis Vuitton makes mistakes.
Even his wardrobe can be expensive, but it makes mistakes. Like, his style is giving me, like, Jersey Shore boardwalk-esque with, like, the splatter paint jean jackets and things of that nature. But Jen's like, I don't interfere with his style. He doesn't let me help. And I'm like, okay, that is, he's, some of the things are better this year. Like last year, it was definitely like screaming season one Jersey Shore Boardwalk. But this year, a little better, but still some of the things I'm like, no, like maybe take that off. Or it'll be like the outfit's okay in like one thing. Like at the end, when they were at the dinner, his outfit was okay. And then he had like green sneakers, and I'm like, high top sneakers. And I'm like, no, no, don't wear that. Please don't. But then, while they're shopping, Jen is just telling Ryan that they're all going to go do this like couples dinner at Katie's house, and that Eddie and Tamra are going to be there. So then we're getting in to the drama that's happening between them. So she's like, "What do you think's going to happen like when we're all there together?" And he's like, "I don't have anything to say to Eddie." But then we flashed to Tamra and Eddie's house, and Tamra said, "Eddie, maybe you could sit down and talk to Ryan." And he said, "No way in hell." And he's like, "Before I became friends with him, I should have just Googled his name, and he's a scumbag." And I was like, whoa, these are pretty intense comments. We've now since heard about all the bookie gambling like scenarios since the show has come out. So I'll talk more about that at the end when they actually bring that topic up. And then I will read a clip of like an article that kind of explain the whole situation. But I feel like this is before we all knew as the public that all of that was happening. But obviously they live in Orange County and know Jen and Ryan. So Tamara and Eddie had already heard that this stuff was happening. So they already know. Um, but they're also referring to Ryan went on All About the Truth podcast and really kind of dogged Tamara and Eddie, and they showed some clips of that, and he was like, "Yeah, before I went to their gym, I didn't hear anything positive about Tamra and Eddie." And it's like, all right, like, don't throw stones at a glass house. Like, maybe you heard some bad stuff about them, but we've heard bad stuff about you too, and as did they. But I don't think it ever behooves anyone to kind of go on these podcasts as the husbands and trash the other husbands and the one that's actually on the show. Like, Tamara's a veteran of the show. Jen had just finished her first season, and you, as the boyfriend, are going on a podcast and trash talking a veteran castmate of hers and the husband. That's a no. That's a no for me. But then we get Shannon storms the door, FaceTiming the youngest daughter, and she's just asking Adeline if she's like going on any hot dates in New York. And she's like, "No, I mean, like, I get asked on some, but I say no to them." She's like, "The only date I'll accept is to Carbone." Me too, girl. I mean, hold out for the ones that are going to spend the money or that got the connections. And Shannon's like, "Oh, Adeline, you need to come down to reality." And I like that Shannon is talking to her that way, because obviously they grew up in a rich lifestyle, especially when they were all living together, like with David. Like, obviously, Shannon gets support from David, so they still somewhat live like the nice lifestyle. But back when they shared the household, definitely like crazy lifestyle that they had. But at least Shannon is like tuning them into reality. Like, listen, maybe not everything is like as good as it seems too. I think that's what she's also hinting at. Maybe like, don't just go after people for their money. Like, not everyone's bad that has money, but also don't look past the bad because of the money that's there. But then she's just telling Adeline about the whole lawsuit with Johnny J and how he won't accept the deal. And Adeline's like, so gross. He's so gross. And I'm like, girl, agreed. Like, he is gross. And I just do think it's crazy unless there's a lot of stuff we don't know that he's not just going to take the $75,000 and just sign that non disparagement agreement. Like, why do you even need to talk about Shannon again? Like, especially if you're taking money from her, you shouldn't be saying anything but positive, like, oh, she just gave me all my money back. That is just terrible, and it is so sad to see how much it's stressing Shannon out because you know that she got out of the relationship with John because it was stressful, but now it's like she's back in the relationship of stress and she's not even like sleeping with him at this point. But then it says later that day with a black screen, and People magazine published an article about John Jansen suing Shannon for the money. And Tamara's like, oh shit. Like, once this is out, this is not good. I gotta check on Shannon. So she called Shannon, but it went to voicemail. But then Shannon was calling her back and she answered. But Shannon was not calling her back. Shannon's butt was. She butt dialed Tamara, which I didn't even think was a thing anymore because I feel like there's not buttons. It's like not like back in the day where people did sit on their phone or something and like butt dial you, but she butt dialed Tamra and she's hysterically crying. I don't know who she's talking to, but she's talking to somebody and she's like, this has Alexis Bellino written all over it. She definitely had her publicist do this, meaning like Alexis leaked the story to write the article for people because even though it is public record, like court documents and whatnot, is People Magazine just chilling in court, paying to get paperwork to see who's getting sued? I don't know. I mean, they very well could be, but I don't think they'd be looking up Shannon and Johnny J down in the courtroom. So I don't know. This doesn't put it past that it would be Alexis because Shannon also said in the confessional that when her and Tamara were going through the lawsuit with Jim Bellino, that before they were even served papers, the paparazzi knew all about it. So that just leads one common denominator for both these situations.
You are psychotic, Jesus John. You're psychotic.
I don't put it past Jesus Jugs for doing it because she's thinking, like, oh, let's spin this PR. It'll make John look better. Like, look, he has to sue Shannon for this money that he's rightfully owned. But it's like, little does she know, the more they do stuff like this, it's making her and Johnny J look worse. I think she's literally the most hated housewife currently on Bravo. And that's saying a lot because she's not even a housewife. She's just a friend of, as Emily reminded us on the last week's episode, you're just a friend. And that's what she meant. I watched this interview of Gina and Emily, and the guy was like, I forget the guy's name, but he sits down and does a lot of interviews. It was like probably on like Access Hollywood or Entertainment Tonight. I don't know, one of those people. And he was like, when you said you're a friend of, what did you mean? And they were like, oh, it's like what we meant. And Gina's like, you're doing OT. You're doing too much work, girl. You're not a full-time cast member. And it's like, it's true. Like, just sit down and zip it. Like the full-time cast members, Emily and Heather, were having the argument or the talk. You don't need to butt in to try to get your spot back. I've said it before on this podcast. I'm going to say it again. I think Alexis is trying to push Shannon to the edge so she quits, and then she thinks that she will have her spot on the show. Just it's just a thought, but I really do think it's a quite accurate thought. Um, that that's her plan, but I don't think it's going to work because no one likes you in the friend capacity. So no one wants you full time because we don't want to see you more, honestly. But then Terry goes to get his nose job. So he's going to cure the snoring with the nose job and have a cuter nose, as per my husband said. And then he's like waking up from the surgery and she's like, "Oh, you're alive. I'm not going to take all your money." And then he was like, when he was signing the paperwork, it was so funny. He's like, "Now you're going to have to allow, like, meaning like if I don't survive the surgery, you're going to allow 6 months and then you could get a new boyfriend." A little grieving process, but that was funny. But then we get Gina's ex husband, who is attractive, may I just say, and his girlfriend, who, may I say, looks a little bit like Kelly Dodd. They got engaged. So they are over visiting with Gina and she's making meatballs. And what do you know? The dog Meatball walks out because he thinks he's going to get a meatball. It's the cutest little golden doodle. Love the golden doodles. But his name is Meatball. So he's coming to visit and scarf some food down, perhaps. So she's sharing the meatballs with Matt and the girlfriend. And she's just telling them, like, this is like stressful. We basically did this like move, like Travis moving out because of the ex-wife. And she's like, "You're so lucky you have me as the ex-wife." And I forget Matt's girlfriend's name, but she's like, "You're right, like I am." Like, and it's so nice to see how they can get along and they could co-parent. And Gina's ex-husband, Matt, cheated on her. Now, this is not the girl he cheated on with, because that would be forbidden, I think. I don't think she'd ever be welcome in the home. But he literally did wrong by cheating. Then they had a domestic dispute. And him and Gina are still co-parenting nice. They all get along, everything. They're sitting and literally eating meatballs together, term breaking bread together. And kooky Travis's ex-wife can't get it together. So I read this article a while ago because I had to look her up because I'm like, what's going on? Like, why is she kooky? Why is she making waves? So I guess she has a substance abuse problem. And he actually got court ordered and approved that anytime she is picking the kids up, that he could randomly ask her to complete a drug test. I mean, that is actually wild. Like, what do you mean? "Oh, can you do this drug test real quick to make sure like you're okay?" Like, how about if I need to do stuff like that, you shouldn't even have custody of the kids. Like, what? Like at all. Like, let's get some visitation up in this bitch instead. Mother or not, that's crazy. So I really feel bad for Gina that it can't be a kumbaya situation. And a lot of situations are not kumbaya. But the fact that it's interfering so much in her and Travis's relationship is really sad. And you don't want the ex to win because that's what they want, even though that's weird because it's like, it's almost not like Travis's ex-wife probably wants him back, but it's like that weird vendetta of like, well, if I can't have you, no one can, and I'm going to ruin your life because I want you to be miserable because I don't like you. And it's like, well, in return, you're like ruining your own life and making yourself miserable, so then nobody's winning. But I feel bad. I mean, Gina and Travis are still together till this day, but I'm pulling for them that they win the lottery or something so they could buy a big house and all live together with all the 100 kids and all the doggies. We need Meatball with his dog sibling. They got another doodle dog to ease the blow for the kids not all living together. So now there's two doggies. So there's a bunch of kids and two doggies. They need a bigger house. They need to move back in together. Um, but yeah, that's interesting that Matt and Gina are so well like established in their relationship now. They've come a long way. So it's kind of like, oh, if they can do it, why can't you? To Travis's kooky ex-wife who's out there, just do it too. But then we get Katie telling her husband that they're getting ready for the couples dinner. So she did not invite Shannon to this because she felt like she would have been the ninth wheel because she's not a couple. But she didn't invite Jesus Jugs and Johnny J, thank God. So we just got Tamra and Eddie, Ryan and Jen, Shane and Emily, and then them, of course. And Gina and Travis are like out of town or something, or Gina's out of town with her kids. So that's why she wasn't invited. But she's last minute telling her husband, "Oh, I'm a little worried about Eddie and Ryan getting together and them having a fight." And he's like, "Oh, you're telling me this now?" It's like, it's too late. And everyone's ringing the doorbell and it's like, too late. Company's here. But Jen and Ryan arrive. Eddie will not say hi to Ryan. So that's a little awkward. Awkward. And Ryan and Jen are like walking away, and she's like, "Did he say hi to you?" And he's like, "No, Eddie's a little baby bitch." And may I point out though, so like everyone's having like dirty martinis. Like Emily is requesting that her third dirty martini be made, and Tamra's spilling half of it when she's standing there. It's like she's standing there and like is trying to hold something else, and she's like tipping it over, but she doesn't even know, and it's like all like spilling out. It was alcohol abuse, Tamra. Reel that in. But it is so funny. Jen, like when they came in, Katie's husband, Matt, I think his name's Matt, asked her, "What would you like to drink?" And she's like, "Oh, can I have a Diet Coke and Malibu?" And I'm like, ew, there you go again. Like at the beginning of the season, she ordered that. And I'm like, no, like, what are we in college? Like, no hate to anyone listening out there that drinks Malibu rum in their 40s, but that's a lot of sugar and artificial sugar. And she has an amazing body. So I'm stunned by that drink order, because how do you look like that and you're sipping on Diet Coke, which isn't good for you, and then Malibu rum, which isn't good for you either? And like, I just feel like that is too sweet. Like, that's why I said in college, like, when you like don't even like alcohol, but you want to drink, you drink all that sweet stuff to like muster up and cover the taste of actual alcohol. So you're just drinking sugar. Nowadays, I do not want that. I want the opposite. Like I want my margarita with no sugar. I just want the tequila, the fresh lime juice, a little agave in there. A little too. Like I do like a squirt of agave. And I do not do club soda because I don't like it fizzy. I find it weird if my margarita has carbonation. But I shake it up, do a little tahine rim. That's it. That's all I put in it. I don't want it sweet. Like, I don't want that in the calories. I'm going to eat my calories. I don't want to drink my calories. And it doesn't even taste good to me. It's like I'll get a headache of all the sugar. So I was just thinking of, how do you have that body and how do you not have a headache having all that sugar? That's yucky. I would be having the dirty martinis, and I would definitely be on my third one like Emily. Like, especially if you're going to get rowdy and have arguments, like Emily's like, I'm already mustering up this argument we're all going to have at the table probably. And thank God we have good old Shane there too, because I find him funny. And Tamra, so they all just sit down to the lovely dinner and little spread outside. The backyard's cute. I think Katie's house is really cute. I really like their decor and the scenery. But Tamra's like, how weird was Alexis acting at that little fiesta? And Emily was like, yeah, I feel like if she wasn't there, it would have been a different and better talk with Heather. And then I feel so bad because Emily gets emotional again. And she said, "You see me every day at the gym." And she points to Ryan, and he's like, "I do." And she's like, "You see how hard I work." And just hearing that I had to wear a size 12, and Alexis is over here in the same dress wearing a size 2, really hurt. And I understand what she means, because maybe Alexis is the type, and I'm not saying Alexis doesn't work out, but maybe it comes easier to her to have that smaller figure. Obviously, it doesn't come easier for Emily, and she's been busting her butt, and she clearly has made changes and improvement because she visibly looks better and healthier. And she said she feels better and healthier. But she's like, it just really puts me back into the place from before I started working this hard and losing the weight. And she's like, and I've been called every name in the book when I was heavier. And I'm sure she was, like, growing up, but also on TV, because people can be really mean. So I bet people did write mean stuff when they first saw her on TV. And then in the confessional, Tamra says, it's hard, like, living here, seeing everyone in Orange County be the size 0 and you're not. And she's like, and I feel for Emily. And I feel like Tamra didn't have Emily's back that much in person, but it was because of how the situation was going. Like, I do think if Alexis wasn't there, she would have been like to Heather, but don't you just see she's just like upset, and she's not saying it's your fault. And Emily never said like, oh, Heather, you made me a size 12, or you made me wear this on like purpose and I'm embarrassed of the dress. She was just saying, I don't understand why you made me bring my own pants. And then I was just letting you know I'm upset because I feel like the way you handled it, it's not like Heather made her I don't know. It's hard to describe because I don't think Heather is mean person, but then when she was saying, "Oh, just to let you know, the dress was actually too small," I definitely do not agree with at all. So then I also forgot to mention we got Katie's husband and Ryan going outside to chit chat, and he asks what he does for a living. And I love how the producers always give us like the dramatic filming. Like it looks like he's talking for like 45 minutes explaining what he does. And Katie's husband's face the whole time is like, what are you even saying? Like, he's like, well, I like used to do mortgages, but like now I do real estate. And like, I don't even like go into an office every day because, like COVID and everything's different and blah, blah, blah. And it's like the whole ring around. So obviously the producers are like setting it up for his career to be in question and everything is like weird about that. But yeah, I forgot about that. Before they sat down for dinner, they had that side chat about what he does for a living. So it was funny. But now back to when they're all sitting at the dinner. So Emily's just saying how if Alexis wasn't there, the conversation would have went so much different with Heather. And then Tamra's like, oh yeah, and People Magazine posted that article about Shannon and John and the whole lawsuit. And then Emily's like, I'm sorry, like he needs to just take the settlement money because she said if I was representing him, I'd say sign the non-disparagement, take the money, and be on your merry way. And then Katie said she feels bad for Shannon and she is finding it fishy about Alexis being involved because she's like, I can see why Shannon is upset with Alexis because she's had two lawsuits that the men she's been with. And Tamra, of course, new BFF for L's with Alexis, is trying to say, well, it's not Alexis's fault at all. And it's like, well, you're kind of guilty by association. Like, no one's saying Alexis is suing Shannon, but you're driving the pitchfork and leading the whole town against Shannon with John Jansen. And like Shannon said, I read about my lawsuit with Jim Bellino online in the tabloids before I even got served my lawsuit. So it's just like, and now this is happening, like PR stunt. I totally think Alexis is behind it. And it's just amazing to me that Tamra went through this lawsuit with Alexis previously. I mean, not directly Alexis, but Jim Bellino, and Alexis was named one of the like benefits of the lawsuit, meaning like if he wins money and he has to give her money because they used to be married, it's like she's going to benefit from the lawsuit. And maybe she was even like colluding with him and doing it. Like, I don't know. I mean, I definitely get an icky vibe from Alexis. I think everyone on the planet Earth except like Tamra does and Johnny J. But I like that the women are speaking up on Shannon's behalf, even though Shannon isn't there. And they're just like, no, like, we don't think it's weird that Shannon's upset. And if I was one of those women there, I'd be like, not only do I not think it's weird Shannon's upset, I think it's weird, Tamra, that you don't understand why Shannon's upset. And then in the confessional, Tamra's like, let's face it, she's not mad about this. She's just mad that Alexis stole her man and is sleeping with him. It's like, first of all, she didn't steal her man. And second of all, I don't think Shannon wants John Jansen anymore, especially the way her daughters talk about it. Like Adeline was like, ew, he's gross. Like, obviously, I think both sets of kids didn't like each other. Like, I don't think, so John's kids didn't like Shannon, and Shannon's kids didn't like John. And honestly, John and Shannon don't like each other. Like, I don't think Shannon is jealous that Alexis is with John. I think, if anything, she was like, oh, maybe this will be good and he'll leave me alone. But obviously, that's not working because the one thing I do find weird, if you have plenty of money, because he said he's going to like pay for Alexis's um, money that she would have got for not doing the show, which I mean, slow down money bags. Like, she's just a friend of. Like, what was that? Like, maybe $5,000, maybe. Kim D said when she got paid on Jersey, it like wasn't a lot. It was like $10,000 or something like super low. Like, that's not even covering your glam and wardrobe for the season, honestly. He's saying that he's going to pay just so she doesn't have to be on the show. Why do you even care if you get $75,000 back if you're like Daddy Warbucks over there? I don't know. It's crazy. But then they get into the elephant in the room, the Ryan and Eddie issue. So Tamra brings up Ryan going on that podcast, bashing Tamra and Eddie. He's like, I don't recall that. And then they like in the distance play, oh, I never heard any positive things about Tamra and Eddie before coming to their gym. And he's like, I don't think I said anything bad. And then Ryan and Eddie are talking about the like topic of, I guess this was a friend that was at Ryan's house for a barbecue. And Eddie is allegedly saying that this friend, or not allegedly, Eddie is saying that allegedly this friend said, watch out for Ryan. He likes to sleep with married women. And Ryan's like, that's not true. And Eddie's like, that is exactly what was told to me at your house. So I guess this was like a friend that was at Ryan's house. He came up and said this. And then in the confessional, Jan was like, Ryan, we all know you like to sleep with married women. It's not a secret. And by the way, when you were sleeping with Jen, she was a married woman. So obviously that is awkward. And I can totally see Ryan being a little town slut, like the little man-ho of the OC. I could totally see it. And that's fine. But it's like, don't act like maybe this person didn't say that at your house. And guys are guys. Like, it's not like if a woman said this about another woman, you'd be like, oh my God, she's such a bitch. But I feel like guys razz each other. And perhaps the friend was joking, but like, slash not joking because he really was having an affair with Jen. Well, technically Jen was the one having the affair because he wasn't married. I don't know, like, do you refer to it as an affair with both people? Like, if Ryan's single, do you say, oh, he's having an affair? Because it's like, well, he's single. Like, to me, I'd say Jen's having an affair and Ryan is just doing bad because he knows Jen is married. But anyway, technicals. Tamra brings up that Ryan posted on his Instagram story about her son Ryan and was mocking. So, like, when he was 18 years old, he posted a DICK pic or didn't post it, sent it to a girl, and then the girl posted it. So Ryan, Jean Jacket Ryan, post on his Instagram story because they show a flashback. Why doesn't Tamra worry about her own Ryan? And then he has a link for you to, I guess, see his little ding-a-ling picture that this girl posted, which that's not right. If he would have, with no picture, just said Tamra should worry about her own Ryan and do no more context, maybe, because she does shit on Jean Jacket Ryan a lot. But the fact that he's like sending a link to her son's picture that's on the internet, that is weird. Because Tamara's like, don't go there with my kids. And I don't care what age your kids are. Yeah, don't go there with the kids. He is an adult. So some people may be like, oh, she needs to simmer down. He's like, I feel like he's as old as me, honestly. We're older. Because I feel like he was older than me when Orange County was on. So he's definitely in his 30s. And then Tamra brings up the FBI stuff. So she goes, oh, how's the FBI doing, Ryan? And he's like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. And it's like, actually, you do know what she's talking about because since then, all these articles have come out that I will read a little bit about. And it wasn't public knowledge, but people around town knew because then they do all the confessionals. But Katie's funny. She's like, I don't know anything about this. I'm not in the mob. And then Emily's like, yes, it's like apparently Ryan goes to Vegas all the time with this guy and the FBI is involved and it's like gambling. And I'm like, oh my God. And it is funnier. I was thinking about earlier in the season, they show that he was going to Vegas with Jen. So that like just makes this full circle too, that we're talking about this right now. And Emily says, oh yeah, it's like about him gambling and going to Vegas and stuff. And it's like, well, you actually went on a trip to Vegas at the beginning of the season that we saw you going on. But Tamra is just like, I don't know why you're going on podcast bashing me. And he's like, I didn't do that. And then they show another, and she's like talking about the relationship I have with my kids. So then they play another clip. And I will say, I agreed with Ryan on this one. Not the first one. He definitely said, oh, I never heard anything good about Tamra and Eddie. So you definitely said that. But the second clip they showed it was the girl. So it's all about the Truth podcast. So it was that Roxanne girl saying, yeah, Tamra, I feel like is unhappy with the relationship she has with her kids. And do you think that's why she's mean to you and Jen because she wants what you guys have? And he went, I'm not going to speculate or comment on any of that. So I think that was good. He said that, like he shut it down. She did the trash talking of Tamra and her child not speaking to her, not Ryan. And he actually said, I'm not going to go there. So that was good. Even though he was mean earlier when they played that clip and said, oh, I never heard anything good. But then Tamra storms off. She says she's done. And then in the confessional, Ryan said, Eddie's unemployed. He's soft. They aren't happy. That's why Tamara's acting this way. Their marriage is a sham. And I'm like, oh my God, anything else? Because during like this argument, when Tamra is going toes, as Lala Kent would say, with Ryan, she's just like yelling at him and she's calling him a little bitch. And Jen looks to Eddie and she's like, are you going to say anything? Are you going to do anything? Which I liked that Jen said that because it is kind of like, are you really just going to let your wife sit here and like scream at Ryan and call him names? Because also, Ryan isn't going to sit there. He's not dumb enough to fall into the trap and call Tamra names. Because it's one thing if the ladies call each other names at each other, but then when one of the husbands calls your wife a name, that's a no. And he knows that Eddie would probably have thrown off that Barefoot Dreams blankie he was snuggled in like Nanook of the North, and he would have flipped out on Jean Jacket Ryan. We need to get him a jean jacket from Ryan's wardrobe because I guess he was cold. But then finally when Jen said that and Tamara was still mouthing off, Eddie was like, stop it, don't go there, and grabbed her face. That was so funny. That she almost had to say, like, can you like muzzle your lady? Can you stop her? But the one thing I will say that's interesting is Tamara sure can dish it out, but she sure can't take it. And Ryan wasn't even saying anything that bad at all to her. Tamara's the one sitting and calling Shannon an alcoholic, whether it's true or not, but she's hammering it down in front of the camera every week. And she thinks it's terrible if Shannon storms off. But it's like, nothing's really happening between the two of you, and you rip off your mic pack and storm off and fall, by the way, going out the door. There was like, she left the door, but it's like the gate kind of in the front, and she fell down the steps and kind of dropped her purse. She didn't fall down the steps, she kind of tripped, and then like her purse fell, but that was funny. But let me read the little article. So then my husband, when we were watching it, he was like, oh my God, I need to know all this stuff about Ryan. Because my husband called it from the beginning last season. He went, that guy's a scumbag and he's shady, giving me shady vibes. I'm going to dive deep right now on Google and read. So it said Ryan's lawyer told ESPN because there is an active investigation and Ryan is working with the authorities, he can't confirm or deny what is going on. He is not a bookmaker or a sub bookie. So I find that hard to believe. I definitely think he's a bookie. So this is what happened. It said Ryan and the alleged illegal bookmaker in question, Matthew Bauer, reportedly laundered. So it's this Japanese guy that played for a baseball team. I think it was either the Red Sox or the Yankees. I think it was the Yankees. I think they said New York. So he can't speak English at all. So it's I don't know how to pronounce his name, but it's a Japanese baseball player, can't speak a lick of English. So these two reportedly laundered his money, made payments through marker accounts at casinos after depositing the payments. Ryan and Matthew Boyer then withdrew the chips from the marker accounts, gambled with them, and if they won, they would cash the money out. So a marker account is like a loan from the casino. But they were doing it in this baseball player's name. And they were like borrowing against him. And then they gambled with the chips that were the baseball player's money, basically. And then if they won, they cashed out and took the money. I don't know. I think it's crazy. Like, he is acting like everything's peachy keen, but this would be freaking wild. If he is guilty of doing this, for sure we'll go to jail. I need to know where this Matthew Boyer guy is, if he's going to sing like a canary, like all the people that hopefully are going to come out and sing like canaries for P. Diddy. I need to know what's happening with this. Like, I don't know anything else that's been happening with it, but fairly interesting, the whole FBI investigation that will be going on about this. And yeah, so since the show was aired, it was on ESPN, there was articles everywhere. So that's what we're talking about, the FBI, Ryan, when we say that. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's like, actually you do. Just can't say anything. And I actually just came across this article. So I'm gonna squeeze this in for a little Bravo tea. So it says TMZ has reported that Kim Richards has been shut out by her entire family. So I'm just going to read the little article. So it said, but it's a case of tough love because we're told she's fallen off the wagon and was placed on a psychiatric hold earlier this month, but that hasn't ended the drama. Law enforcement sources tell TMZ they showed up at a home Kyle owns in the LA area Wednesday, night after the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills star, called them in hopes of getting Kim removed from the house. So I wonder if this is like the house they were talking about back in the day. Remember, it was like, you stole my goddamn house. And apparently Kim or Kyle and Maurizio like had a house or bought a house, and like Kim was living in it, and like I guess they sold it, which rightfully so, it's their house. I don't remember. But remember when she was like in the limo and she's like, you stole my goddamn house. So, okay, in hopes of getting Kim removed from the house. We're told Kyle had let Kim live in the house, but she moved out a while back. But Wednesday, Kim showed up again. Law enforcement says Kyle told them she did not want Kim in the house because the family had cut all contact off in hopes it would shake Kim and get her sober again. We're told cops explained to Kyle it was a civil matter and she'd have to file an eviction action. Kim remains in the house. So this is really sad. So I really thought that she was over the struggle of her sobriety. So I'm really shocked to be reading this, and I feel really bad. And now it's saying the whole family has shut her out. So I know Kim has 2 grandkids, may have more by now. So I bet like all her kids are like, no, like you can't see us, you can't see the grandkids. Obviously, Kyle is shutting her out. And if it says all the family, that means Kathy. And she used to always hold that against Kyle back in the day. She used to be like, oh my God, Kathy would never do this. She's would never treat me like this, blah, 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 blah. So my heart goes out to her. My heart goes out to the family because that's tough. They've struggled with Kim's sobriety for a long time. And it has to be hard for Kyle because Kyle didn't have a problem per se, but she decided to not drink. I think it was more like it didn't make her feel good, but not a intense problem like Kim has had. So that has to be hard for her too. Like now could have been an outlet for Kim to talk to, but instead she's fallen off the wagon, and I feel bad for Kyle, and I feel like it's sad for Kyle too because she's like intertwined because of this house situation, and Kim is probably making Kyle feel bad, but Kyle's doing the right thing, and I feel like Kyle has always done the right thing with Kim. Like you can't let them take advantage of you because then they're also never going to learn and help themselves and get better. So prayers for Kim, but prayers for the family too because that's a lot. So I'm glad I did get to slip in that hot off the press Bravo tea that you guys are all going to enjoy on this Saturday. Make sure to leave me 5-star reviews on wherever you listen. I appreciate it. Love to hear from you guys, and loving all my new followers that I'm getting on my social media. And you guys are very active. I love the conversations, the conversation flow. I get DMs, just talking about everything, like asking me questions too. So I feel like I may start doing some videos of like recipes or like makeup or hair and stuff like that, because some of you guys have asked me like, oh, what was that recipe that you made? Or like I got a DM and it was like, oh, can I have the recipe for the coffee creamer you said you made homemade today in your video? So I would love to do more videos like that. I'm gonna have to get better setting up my little like tripod, being like a little influencing star, because I watch some of those reset videos. So when I talked about the Sunday reset, how do those people set up those tripods and then clean their whole entire house? That's a mystery. Leave your comments. Tell me what you think these people do. Do they have a camera person? Are they doing the tripod? What do you think they're doing? As always, this was so fun, and you could find me on Instagram at Bravo T with the Stay at Home Mom, Spotify, and Apple. Till next time, see ya.